In 1980, there was a comedy classic, Airplane. In 1982, there was a not as good, but still funny, Airplane 2, the sequel. In 1984, there was the underrated classic, Top Secret. 1988 brought us the legendary, I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. Also in 1988, one of the funniest films ever made, The Naked Gun. All of those spoof comedies are pretty hilarious. But don't you feel like there's something missing? Well, that's the subject of today's video.
You lousy corksuckers, you have violated my fucking rights. This salmon-batching country.
'84's Johnny Dangerously is a hilarious spoof of old gangster movies. And even though it was on heavy rotation on HBO back in the day, it doesn't get talked about enough. The film stars Michael Keaton, who at the time was already pretty famous from Mr. Mom and Night Shift. And in this video, I want to talk about why Johnny Dangerously is a must-watch for spoof comedy fans. The film starts out in 1935 when Johnny catches a kid stealing a puppy from his pet store. Johnny wants to teach the kid a lesson about stealing, so he tells him a story.
Been, 25 years ago.
What's going on?
Don't worry, it'll end in a couple of minutes.
Johnny tells the kid how he started his life of crime trying to raise money for his perpetually sick mother. So Johnny joins the Jocko Dundee gang, Jocko being played by Peter Boyle. And I should mention that Jocko's #1 henchman, Arthur, was played by Dick Buckets of all people. Anyway, Johnny continues his story about how he became a gangster. And this is the setup for the film. And at this point, Johnny has become a famous, well-known gangster, pretty much known to everyone, except for his mother and brother.
Now, what did I tell all you neighborhood people?
Around here, you're Johnny Kelly, a law-abiding nightclub owner. Not the notorious gangster Johnny Dangerously.
Eventually, Johnny becomes the leader of the Dundee gang when Jocko is convinced to retire.
Johnny, this is a sign from above.
This becomes a serious issue because Johnny's younger brother works for the DA's office, and he is obsessed with ending crime. That's about as far as I'll get into the plot. I mean, honestly, there's not a whole lot to it. What I do want to spend a little time on is why I think you should watch this movie. In short, it's farkin' hilarious.
This is fucking war.
Let me begin by talking about my favorite side character in this whole movie, Roman Maroney.
So that the liberties of common patriotic citizens could not be taken away by a bunch of fucking iceholes like yourselves. Thank you very much.
Next to the two job-talking brothers from the movie Airplane, Roman Maroney has some of the funniest ethnically based dialogue you will ever hear in a movie. Made even funnier by the fact that his actual ethnicity isn't specified in the movie and is left pretty ambiguous. I hadn't seen this movie in many years, and I honestly forgot that Roman Maroney isn't in the movie that much, but he was absolutely one of the parts of the film I remembered the most. And then there's Joe Piscopo's character. You remember when Joe Piscopo was famous? His name is Danny Verman.
I fulfilled a lot of people's predictions about me. I've become a real scumbag.
He was Johnny's rival when they were kids, and as an adult, he joined the Dundee gang. Danny's a ruthless scumbag who Johnny has to keep in check for most of the film. Danny eventually betrays Johnny and essentially becomes the film's bad guy in the second half. Danny's got some pretty funny scenes in the movie, including one reoccurring theme.
You shouldn't grab me, Johnny. My mother grabbed me once. Once.
Danny says a variation of this line several times throughout the movie, and each time it's pretty funny. There's also Danny DeVito's Crooked DA, who actually gets taken out by a malt liquor joke. Johnny's love interest, Lil Sheridan, is played by Mary Lou Henner, and if you're old like me, you definitely remember her from Cannonball Run Part 2, and the show Taxi. And I can't forget the director, Amy Heckerling. Just 2 years prior, she had directed Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and soon after, she directed National Lampoon's European Vacation, as well as Look Who's Talking 1 and 2, and Clueless. And I think she did an excellent job with Johnny Dangerously. Now, one of the reasons I think Johnny Dangerously isn't remembered like some of these other films is that it wasn't a massive hit, and it wasn't a cultural phenomenon like I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. Not to mention that 1984 had a lot of big releases. Johnny Dangerously was released December 21st of 1984. But you know what else was out that month? Beverly Hills Cop was going into its third weekend, and we all know that movie was one of the highest grossing comedies of all time. Not to mention that Starman, Dune, and Runaway were released the week prior. And let's not forget that Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo was released the same weekend. It was also released on the long Christmas weekend, which probably didn't help for a movie like this. It would end up making $17 million on an approximate $9 million budget. Definitely not a hit, which is why I know the vast majority of people who even remember this movie definitely saw it on HBO because it was on heavy rotation. And as of the time of me recording this, it's no longer on streaming. It was literally there about a week and a half ago. I forgot which service it was, if it was Tubi or Pluto or something, but it's not there anymore. So if you're able to find Johnny Dangerously, please give it a watch. It is absolutely worth an hour and a half. And it's a complete no-brainer if you're a fan of spoof comedies. This one's honestly one of the best from the 80s. Let me know in the comments if you've seen Johnny Dangerously. If you hated it, if you loved it, if you haven't seen it in decades, let me know. I like to hear these stories. Once again, I'm Steve. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, and I'll be back real soon.
Don't bullshit me. Search the summoner badge. It's a free country, ice hole. But don't try no fargan trick. Otherwise you wind up with your bells in a sling.